So this men's 5,000 metres on the track on the far side, and a fast race in prospect. We've got two of the men who finished in the top three. They did finish second and third, Barega and Gebriwet in Doha, in that great race which Kejelcha won. No Kejelcha here tonight, but one or two others to look out for as well. Bali ran well in Doha. Gebriwet, of course, had a 10,000 metre race in Stockholm since that race, so he'll not be as fresh as the others. Barega then will probably start as the favourite. Others in this, we've got Bekele, the junior world cross country champion. As Gebriwet takes the plaudits. Also the world junior champion on the track over 5,000 metres this distance, who's in the second line behind. There's Mengesha, the world cross country under 20 champion. Eric Zakayo is the one I was talking about. I think he's got a big future ahead of him. Just wouldn't be surprised if he smashes a personal best here today, if they do go out the pace at which they've been asked, which is 2:35, which would give them a sub 13 minute clocking. There's the second lineup. Andy Butchart of Great Britain in that, Philip Ingebrigtsen, Nick Willis, Ben True. Plenty of other athletes looking, of course, for World Championship qualifying times. And the conditions tonight pretty much perfect for that. As Tim was saying, it's cooled off a bit as the two Ethiopians just have a chat. Cooled off to the extent that I would say this is not far off being perfect running conditions.
No, exactly right, Steve. You know, the daytime temperatures at the moment are very high, 26, 27 today, and they're predicted over the next few days to rise into the 30s here in Rome, so they've chosen a good one, these fellas.
12 and a half laps of the track, as usual, men's 5,000. The two pacemakers, as I was saying, looking for 62-second laps there about Hispashir and Letting. And then others will have to make their mind up whether they're going to go with it or not, because otherwise the danger is it'll break up. There's enough men in this to get a bit of a train going, if you like. Even if you're a little bit further down the field running, say, a 13:10 pace, you should be able to still have people to work with and work off. So let's just see how they settle down. It's pretty swift first 200, nothing crazy, around 29 and a half. And Letting moving ahead of Barega. Barega in the third spot there. Gebriwet a little bit further back. And they'll just start to settle down. But look how stretched out they are in this first lap. I think it often takes 600-700 metres for them really to settle down into their pace, or to the sort of pace they want to be clicking through. So through first 400 metres, and a pretty swift, well, the clock didn't stop, but I can tell you it was 58.9 seconds for the leaders.
Well, that is quick. It's way too quick. We're looking for around 62 seconds per lap. That's 2:35 per kilometre, which will bring them home, for those of you who haven't got super fast maths, in 12:55 for a winning time. I don't think many people in this field will be up for that sort of pace at this stage of the season, but Barega certainly looks up for it. He's in third place. They're on the shoulder of the pacemaker, the second pacemaker. He's almost wanting to push them along. 61.3 there, Steve, to the bell through 600 metres. It's very, very fast up at the front end. I know where I'd be. Wouldn't be at the front.
Well, it's settling down, isn't it? You kind of allow them one lap, and then after that, as I said, they've got to really settle down after 600. And I think they've just about managed to do that. So, as Tim was saying, 61 or so. Others have just sat off it, probably wisely. You see Butchart from Great Britain, Philip Ingebrigtsen, Nick Willis right at the back of the field, Ben True as well. Good pace for them through the first 800 metres. That's still 2:4.25, so that's pretty swift even at the back of the field.
I was just going to say, Andy Butchart running perfect splits if he wants to run anywhere near 13 minutes now. His personal best 13:08, and you know, I know you spoke to him earlier, and he's in very confident form. But yes, if you want to run 12:55, you should be towards the back of the field perhaps, and at the front of the field they're moving at, well, virtually world record tempo.
And that's why those gaps are appearing, because they're not really slowing down too much. 2:32.9. That was a 62.5 lap. That's what they wanted, if you like, from the beginning. So it will kind of slot into a bit of a rhythm now. So just under 2:33 for that first kilometre. As Tim was saying, it would certainly be, if you did that the whole way, you'd end up in low 12:40s. But I suspect that won't happen, although Hadis is close. We saw the youngsters there, Mengesha, I've noticed right up there as well. Others have decided, as we said, to sit off this pace rather more wisely, I think, including that clutch of the non-African runners towards the back there. But they're still going pretty quick.
Very fast indeed, almost single file. Puts her in the lead and applies pressure to several others still in there. Cleared 4.66 third time as well, but she's in the lead, the Swede.
So the pace is still pretty solid. They ran a 63 second, and they just continue to stretch things out a little bit. And I'm surprised to see Cripper up there, as far up as he is, to be fair. The Italians are pleased to see him there, but just getting, as I said, that bit of a train going. That's what you want. If you start to move through the field, you can start to pick athletes off a little bit. And one or two youngsters, including Zakayo, the world junior champion, Mengesha, the world cross-country junior champion, right up there in that lead group. So it'll be interesting to see whether they manage to hang on to this. Hadis, who's been running on the roads as well this year. Balu, who we know is good. Bergen right up there. Kifle right in that group. Krippner, the one who's just towards the back of it in the, what should we call it, purple?
It's a punishing distance, you know, the 5,000. If you go out too hard for those first couple of kilometres, you will pay for it. You've got 7 or 8 laps yet to go, and that's a long, long time in which to try and hold things together when you're under pressure before halfway. That's a more sensible second kilometre, 2:35.67, 5:08 at 2K. So now they're just inside the pre-planned schedule. They wanted 5:10 at 2 kilometres. That's a lot more sensible now, but that first kilometre, they might pay for that. 2:32, remember, right at the front end, and plenty of those up in the lead group will have been around 2:33, 2:34.
Yeah, and a little bit the issue with that is after the 63, then the sort of lap they took to 4.5 was a 61. You know, it's a little bit up and down, and that's why I think those gaps are there. But the men in that second group still running well. The gaps appeared between the leaders and the group with Cripper and Ingebrigtsen, Ben True, Butchart in that group as well. But at the front, Barega's never been too far away, and Gebriwet not too far away either. Bekele moving up to try and push things on. No pacemaker now, so who's going to take it on? Who's going to move this through? They were looking for around the 7:45 mark through 3,000 metres. They're on schedule for that, as Tim said, but slowing down towards that, which is never necessarily the best way to do it. A little clip there, a little further back in the field. Zakayo is still up there. I can see him in 7th place, just starting to perhaps struggle a little bit, the youngster. He's supposed to be only 17, 18, I think. But they can see there, Tim, now, just if they're starting to drop off one by one.
Bekele in front, just 20 years old. I wonder whether or not there isn't a little bit of teamwork going on here, Steve, because he's really striding along strongly. His lifetime best, 13:04, is very close to that with his 5th place in Shanghai, a month or so ago. But I would be surprised if he's able to maintain this with the big names of Gebriwet and Barega and Addis in there behind him. These are 6 beginning to get away. One athlete isolated in 7th place, and the gap's getting bigger and bigger all the time.
Haven't mentioned Mo Ahmed from Canada. What a good run he's having. 2 silver medals at the Commonwealth Games. He's in that lead group as well. So Ahmed, Balu, Zakaya just trying to hang on to that top 6 there. There's a tantalizing 3 or 4 meter gap. Then there's a big gap behind him as the others are starting to falter. And then you can see further back Ben True starting to pull the next group through. Butchart and Cripper and others following in that group. But here are the leaders. Barega coming around this time with 5 to go.
Yeah, approaching 3 kilometres here. This will be significant. It's going to be quick, around 7:45. Goodness me. 2:36, 7:45.50. And that is right on schedule. Now, they've gradually homed in on the pace they wanted. They wanted 7:45, 3,000 for all intents and purposes.
3 laps to go in this men's 5,000 metres. And we still have the same group at the front, although Barega has had to relinquish the lead. It's Bekele who's pushing things on. Hadis now looking frisky. I said he's been good on the cross-country, bronze medalist in the World Cross, and then followed it up with a couple of road races. Gebriwet looking good. That 10,000 metres in Stockholm, obviously not hindering him too much. Ahmed trying to hang on. And the world junior champion, Zakayo, still close enough to these 6 to be a threat. Balu, the other man in the group there. 1,000 metres left to run, 10:25. So the pace is good. It's on 13-minute pace if they can finish quickly over the last 1,000 metres, and no reason why they shouldn't with this many men in the group still. Then there's a big group further back you can see starting to reel in those who faltered off this lead group. And Haddis now with 2 to go. Barrega get himself tucked in. Gebriwet will have to try and make a move, Tim, because he won't outkick Barrega in the last 200-300 metres.
Well, no, it's for everybody to watch each other now, and so often over this last couple of laps, certainly this penultimate lap, you get a little bit of a cat and mouse game going on. Haddis from Bekele, from Gebriwet, who may have that 10,000 from Stockholm a week ago in his legs, let's forget. It could be forgiven for running on slightly fatigued legs, Gebriwet. That's a 4th kilometre, 2:40, so it slowed significantly.
Just a note before we get into the last lap with this group of what's going on behind Philip Ingebrigtsen, who's only ever run 2 5,000-metre races, and 13:30 is his best, is running close to 13:5, between 13:5 and 13:10 pace, is right in that group. They're about 50-60 metres behind the leaders here. We'll see them there in the distance. Ben True, Butchart leading that group. Ingebrigtsen, though, looking pretty frisky, so he's up for rewriting his best as they come round now then. 400 metres to go. Gebriwet starting to move up on the outside, and Bekele just making the first little strike. Tries to cover for Gebriwet. Barrega also moving. Balu got left a little bit there. And Zakayo still not too far away, and I tell you that World Junior man, he's been drifted off, but the others can kick. Balu's always a danger. Bekele then, striding out down the back straight. Gebriwet there, Barrega, now these three just pulling ahead of Haddis and Balu and Ahmed. 200 metres left. One more effort from Bekele. Knows he's got to try and break the pace of Barrega, but there he is. He starts to unleash it round that top bend. Gebriwet not giving it up, but he just doesn't have the legs that Barrega has. He doesn't have the turn of pace, the speed, but Bekele maybe has. Barrega then trying to shut him out on the inside, managing just to get a metre and a half, but Bekele hasn't given it up. He's trying to come back to him. It's going to be so tight. Has he got room? Yes, he has! Bekele comes through with a storming finish. 12:53, what a performance from him. Others with good times. Butchart coming in quickly. Cripper of Italy finishing fast as well. Ingebrigtsen fading a little bit. Around 13:10 for those in this